I actually just talked to him. He was evaluated this morning. We're just kind of waiting some results. Yeah. We'll get that out when we find out.
Was this the picture of the LSU team that you had hoped to see for 3 games straight on a weekend?
I think it was really good complementary baseball. I think you start with starting pitching. I mean, winning always starts and ends on the mound or pitching just in general. And they obviously did a great job. 2 runs Friday, 3 runs on Saturday, 3 runs on Sunday. They didn't score any runs other than off of a home run on both Saturday and Sunday. So I thought that whole group did a great job. I thought defensively we had a good week and improved. No errors on Friday, no errors on Sunday, which was great. So they complemented the pitching staff really, really well. Friday, we were kind of held down a little bit offensively until the end. We've talked about two-strike hitting a lot, and I think Hayden Travinsky's at bat should not go overlooked. I mean, he laid off 2 borderline pitches, a fastball up and a slider down to draw that walk. Josh Stevenson didn't move his feet, got hit with that pitch, and then we were fortunate to get a wild pitch, free base, and then Trey hit a line drive, and then Dylan had a home run. So we're scoring late in games. That hasn't really changed. So good job by the offense maintaining there. Got a big swing early in game 2 against Jacob. Some disciplined at bats in front of him for a big inning, and then just couldn't quite crack through again on Saturday, but got a big homer out of Jordan. And then again, the bullpen did the job. And then I thought Sunday, we've had certainly a number of games where we've scored a lot, I think. But that one, we hit our home runs and had a lot of quality at bats in between and moving the offense. And when we do both those things together, we're going to score 10. And so it was a good indication of that. So I just thought it was really good complementary baseball all the way around.
Can you touch on the bullpen and just how everyone did this weekend as a whole?
Yeah, it is about as good as you could ask for. I think we pitched at 27 pitching innings. 13 were from starters, 14 were from the bullpen. And we only gave up 2 runs in those 14 innings, and those 2 were with an 8-run lead. And so really proud of those guys. All of them have really good makeup and competitiveness and obviously have some good stuff. I kind of felt that going into the year that would be a strength of our team, and getting them lined up right, and doing that and putting them with their talent in the right spots. It was a great weekend for those guys. That was the story.
Josh Pearson just was named SEC Player or Freshman of the Week, co-freshman of the week. Can you speak to again his performance and what has allowed him to be so successful?
Yeah, I think he's very mature for his age. Came in with a better hitting foundation than most players do as freshmen. We cross what I would call the top of college baseball. We all get talented guys, but there's a big difference between having talent and being ready at this level. He's very coachable. He's very smart. We made a couple small adjustments in the fall, and he took to those well. I think getting some at-bats under his belt early was good. I've seen a noticeable difference in him just being in control of himself and slowing the game down. I think the talent you knew was there. Was probably, of the freshman class of position players, was the guy I was most high on when I came here, just in terms of things I'd heard about him and some of the research that I'd done. It's an old lineup, or not an old lineup really, but an experienced lineup. So it's just been kind of hard for everybody to crack into. And but it felt like his time was coming. We've kind of played him more and more over the last 3 weeks, and he did a great job this weekend. I mean, you point to the 3 hits and 2 homers. Obviously, yesterday was a very loud day, but he had 2 hits, 2 really good at bats, 3 really good at bats on Saturday, which was great to see. So really pleased with his progression.
Coach, what did a weekend like this do for just the confidence of your ball club and mentality heading forward?
Well, I think they've been competitive. I mean, through every game, like that's something I think I would stand behind them with. I think in terms of confidence, you have to be confident to be successful, but sometimes guys need some success to have some confidence, and it's kind of this wheel that is ever, you're always, trying to keep them in the right frame of mind, or right in the head, as I would call it. And so I think it can only help. But again, I mean, everything we did this weekend, it's not going to carry over to the next from a result standpoint, but hopefully the success, as I say to them, leaves some clues as far as how to approach it. And they played confidently this weekend, and I would like to see them do that going forward.
With Pearson being left-handed, I know you're big on getting as many lefties in that lineup as possible in producing 5-hole yesterday.
Yeah.
What does that do for the lineup now? Does it make it more versatile? What does it allow you to do?
Well, I believe in a lot of the position players. I think we've been missing an element, and I'm talking like the elite, like top of as good as anybody in the country type standard is where we're going to try to get it to offensively. He can add to that because it's the power obviously is there with the natural tools and the bat speed. But if you've watched some of the at bats prior to the weekend, I mean, he doesn't swing at balls. He doesn't get himself out. He always runs an at bat that our team needs. Once he got past some of that transition to high-level Division I baseball, and that's been great to see. It will make us better. We'll score more with him in there, not just because he can hit the ball over the fence or drive it in the gap, because it's a guy that's going to put pressure on the at bat and not giving out to the pitcher. And in our first year of this thing, you could point to the offensive numbers and say they're good. There's still, for me, there's room to grow, and he can add to that growth based on the quality of at bats that he takes.
Folks now building some consistency, trying to finally get back to series wins.
No, I mean we have a game tomorrow, and it's too much to handle for 18 to 22-year-olds. It's just about the play, and that complementary baseball piece that I was speaking to. There's so much left on the schedule. I mean, I understand the question. It's just like when I mean keeping them right in the head, it's about strikes, it's about playing catch, and it's about quality at bats. I mean, that's great for everybody on the outside to talk about, but the inside, it doesn't help us win. And so for me, in managing their mindset, it always comes back to the playing good. And then hopefully in playing good, then you add to some of those results and some of those positive feelings are generated.
What do you make of this team's mental toughness on the road? 5-1 against pretty hostile environments on the road here starting SEC play.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I mean, you're talking. I've mentioned this before, and I mean Mississippi State's the champ right now. So it's like they're two programs we're honestly trying to catch, and so the only way to it is through it, and it's another good step. And I'm proud of them for that. I think we prepared well. I mean, I know it sounds kind of coachish, but we had a very good workout there on Thursday night with very tangible things that led to success on the weekend. And, that's part of that, developing a blueprint of everything counts, something that Coach Bertman used to say. And I think there's a little better understanding of that. And, as far as the consistency part of it, we want to keep that going forward. Just baseball is a different game. You never have it. And so you need this edge towards preparation and the things that you can control to be successful.
What can we expect out of Lamar for Tuesday night? Kind of mid-RPI team right now?
Well, it's deceptive because they have a good record. And for helping our RPI, the opponent's record is more important than their actual RPI number. So it's a good game to play relative to that. I mean, Will Davis was here for a while, obviously. He's a really good coach. I think he has a really good idea of what he's trying to do with that program in terms of how they recruit. And so it'll be a good challenge, for us. They're in the thick of their race to win their conference championship. So it's playing an opponent with a good record. And so that obviously helps us. And, again, that's stuff I look at as the coach. But for us, it's continuing to get guys out on the mound and throw strikes and develop and, play defense and, be mature in the approach to take good at bats. And so hopefully the weather will hold out for us and we can get that in.
Mikhail Hilliard has obviously been a very consistent pitcher for y'all and moved into that Friday night spot. What is his role kind of in the dugout, on the staff, like off the mound? How have you seen him conduct himself around the players?
Great. Yeah, great front step. And what I mean by that is, we certainly left a lot of their guys on base this weekend, and that's usually the pitchers made a big pitch to do that. He's one of those first guys out there, celebrating that success or reinforcing that success to the pitcher that just executed. And I think that's a good sign for for teammates to see one of your better guys, be invested, in the group success or the next pitcher's success as much as their own. It's very uncommon, for guys, it's a team sport, but baseball is very individually driven. It's a game of individual matchups. So we tell them all the time when they go to pro baseball, they're kind of in an individual sport. And so the game kind of lends itself to that. So it's really great when guys really invest in the team. And I think he sets a good example in doing that.
You guys feel like you found a little bit of a sweet spot with this pitching rotation, or is it still very much kind of up and down?
It's evaluating what's best for where we're headed. Looking at the team that we're playing, the day's rest, how we've used the bullpen, who can maybe play well off of each other. What makes a difficult adjustment for the opponent after the starter. We've talked about trying to maybe re-elevate some guys' pitch counts to keep them in the discussion for that. But it's kind of a week-to-week thing right now.
You're talking about playing off of each other. Am I reading too much into it? Because it seems like when Dutton starts, Taylor always follows him, or vice versa. Is that
Well,
just how it
Dutton was up in the pen on Saturday when the first inning wasn't going so hot, so he very easily could have been in the game on Saturday, and because we didn't use him, he was available for Sunday. So that just tells you kind of how fluid it is. So if you bring him in and we still had outs to go, I mean, you could have seen Grant in the game on Saturday as well, and then you're looking at a different game map for Sunday. So it depends. I'm really high on both of those guys. They have stuff. And they, like I said, fastball command, breakers go down, have good changeups, they get guys off the barrel, but they're mature beyond their years. I mean, they have they both handle themselves in the game like they've been here for 3 or 4 years. And modern day coaching, that's hard to find. Even at LSU, that's really hard to find. And so I'm fired up to have those guys a part of what we're doing for a long time.
found a sweet spot for how to use Raisin in the game,
Mhm.
extending in short bursts. Is that
Yeah, I mean, I think, it was, I had somebody on our staff ask me why I put him in on Friday, and we definitely needed a strikeout, and we got out of it with no runs and kept it at a 1-run game, and that's to Eric's credit. He got the strikeout, the ground ball with the infield end to Cade, and then another strikeout. And then we eventually came back and won, and that was awesome. And it's just like, we kind of call, not him, but guys firemen, it's like the house might burn down, but who can you get in to try to get out with minimal damage? It's like you get the bases loaded and no out. If you can get out of that inning with 1 run crossing the plate, then you've done a really good job. And he certainly has the stuff to do that. He'd have the stuff to finish games. I mean, he's striking people out at a really high clip, at least per inning or per 9 innings. And then they all kind of did the same thing on Saturday, where they got through their run of hitters, and then it was time to go to somebody else. He did it for Riley, and then Paul did it for him. And so I think you're getting a better handle on it. But I mean, against A&M, that Sunday game we won, it's the bases loaded. We had to get that out to win that game, and struck the guy out with the bases loaded. So it's just high leverage, when you really need an out.
Earlier in the season, we'd see like Josh Stevenson and Josh Pearson pinch hit in the 8th inning. Are those moments that you think have led up to where they are now and the quality at bats they're having?
I think so. I think it can help. I mean, I've said this before, is like the best coach you ever have in your life is playing time and experience. And the biggest jump any of our players will make in their entire careers from high school baseball to the top of Division I baseball, or the SEC, whatever you want to call it. Like, they'll never go through this again. They'll be way more prepared to go to professional baseball from playing here than they were from high school to this. And it's just like, until you get some of that experience, it's really, really tough. Now, your best guys, can talent their way through it. Dylan played every pitch of every inning of every game last year. But those guys they're good players, and you could see flashes of their talent in the fall for sure. And you could see a roadmap. Like, I could look at those guys and go like, hey, these are guys that are going to be real players here. But I think we have one of the best offensive teams in the country, and so it's really hard to to get everybody in there. It's the way it should be here. It should be hard to play here as a freshman. Like if the program is firing on all cylinders, like that's what I want to get it to. But those guys are good, and at some point you have to get them in there and let their talent go for it. And the fact that we were able to get them some experience, I think it led to some success that they've had lately.
How do you manage everyone getting the right amount of experience?
I mean, we're trying to win the game in front of us. Like that trumps everything else. Like that's. With that being said, can you do that and find windows or opportunities? I mean, they played yesterday to help us win the game yesterday. There was no like, oh, we're going to just do this, and that never enters into my mind. Whether it should or shouldn't, it doesn't enter into my mind. I think, communication. This is what you need to do to help our team win, or to be the most effective player for our team, and then set their training so that they can have a chance to be successful at that. And then as they do that more consistently, then their role expands.
What are your thoughts on Blake's performances lately? I mean, he's had good outings, but just some things have not broken his way. Is there anything you'd like to see him specifically improve upon to maybe get that extra 1 or 2 innings?
Yeah, I mean, Auburn, I mean, we had 4 2/3 of all zeros. Now it was hard to get there. I mean, it was at like 91 pitches to get there, and that's credit to Auburn. I mean, that's a really good team. Then we made the error, and then that kind of broke the floodgates. So I think that outing was better than maybe it appeared. I think his Florida outing was better than what the line actually said. So, and then this weekend, not great at the start, but I'm really pleased with how he responded, to keep us ahead by 1 and then get 3 zeros. And then we turned it over to Trent and Devin to get us out of the next inning. So he was a big part of us sweeping that series. I mean, 12 outs is a lot. I mean, obviously we'd all love to get to where we're the 1995 Atlanta Braves, where everybody's going 8 innings, and then you bring in Mark Wohlers, but we're not there yet.
Coach, with you having spent so much time in the Pac-12 with the Oregon States, the UCLA's of the world, and played perennial powers like the Floridas, Mississippi States, Arkansas, what's been the biggest difference you've seen in top-tier baseball from then until now? I mean, have you found yourself approaching weekends differently?
No, I mean, I treat every game like it's a playoff game. And, I mean, when I was at Point Loma Nazarene, I coached like I was at LSU. So, I mean, I think that was probably a benefit. But I think probably if you're asking me what I think the difference is, I think I would just say depth. And I want to, explain this. I mean, we played for the national championship there, went to Omaha twice. We played Stanford and Omaha last year. UCLA, always one of the best pitching staffs in the country. Oregon State won the national championship in 18, and we beat that team 2 out of 3. So the top of that is also the top of college baseball. There's a billion major league players from the Pac-12. I think the difference maybe is in the depth of the bottom maybe of the league, or how many good teams there are. But I think it's deeper than that, in the sense of you take each team individually, and there's no drop-off with quality pitchers teams are bringing out of the pen. You get to the bottom of the orders, and there's no drop-off. And for me, just through 4 weekends of it, that would be the difference. And I'm not surprised by it. I mean, I played 2 super regionals against SEC teams, but they just keep coming at you every week.
Bryce Collins didn't come in this weekend, just not part of the game plan, or?
No, I mean, we had him up twice. It was just kind of like where we were at, how they had set their lineup. He was very much in the mix for yesterday. I think it gave us the luxury by getting an 8-run lead in the 7th and then a 10-run lead in the 8th to kind of hold him back. Like, we didn't put him in yesterday because we had a huge lead, and then gives us an opportunity to potentially use him tomorrow. And then that was yesterday. And then I felt like I had the right script for Saturday, and it just was like going to those guys for what we needed. I kind of like to use him to start innings. That was part of it, and we made most of the pitching changes in the middle of the innings.
Any update on Milazzo?
I just saw him. He had a smile on his face. He didn't go on the trip this weekend. I mean, I don't know if he was wearing a tight shirt. His muscles looked a little bit bigger, so at least he got in the weight room. But we would definitely want to get him back. But he wasn't ready as of last Tuesday. I think I wouldn't plan on him being ready this week. But it was kind of a reevaluation after 2 weeks.